Hi, this is Sean D'Souza, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation Podcast. This podcast isn't some magic trick about how to work less. Instead, it's about how to really enjoy the work that you do and to enjoy your vacation time. Hi, it's Sean D'Souza, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation. In South Africa, there is a flower that only one insect can access. Orpheum flowers don't contain nectar. Instead, they provide bees with pollen. Yet, not every insect can access the pollen. If you look closely at the orpheum flower, you will find the stamens are twisted, and this in turn prevents the pollen from being stolen by visiting insects. Only one insect has access to the pollen in the orpheum flower. That insect is the female carpenter bee. When she approaches the flower, her flapping wings make a particular buzzing sound. Yet that sound won't make any difference to the flower or to the stamens. Those stamens, they remain locked. At which point, the bee changes the beat of her wings, creating what we'd call the C note. That simple act gets the flower to seemingly unlock and shower the bee with pollen. In our business, we often seem to be like the other insects. We don't appear to be able to hit that C note and to unlock greater product sales. Yet, just like the wing beat of the carpenter bee, you too can achieve a consistent level of success. So, what's that note that you have to hit? And how often? Let's find out. As always, we'll cover 3 parts, and these 3 parts are first the small value giveaway, the second is the big value giveaway, and the third is how to structure the giveaway and how often to give away something. Let's start out with why small value giveaways work really well. If you were a rooster, would you be able to crow at any time? You think so, wouldn't you? After all, it seems like roosters cock-a-doodle-doo at any given time. In the journal Scientific Reports, a study shows that roosters crow in order of seniority. First, the top-ranking rooster initiates the crowing, followed by subordinates, all in a descending order of social rank. In fact, when the top-ranking rooster is removed from the group, the second-ranking rooster initiates the crowing. At all times, the social rank has to be adhered to maintain the hierarchy. Fortunately, such a hierarchy doesn't have to be maintained when trying to increase product sales. You can start off with a small value giveaway. You can start off with the smaller rooster or the smaller giveaway. And what is this small or low value giveaway? When you get to the website at psychotactics.com, you're likely to have run into a giveaway called the Headline Report. It's why headlines fail and how to avoid that failure. To date, over 55,000 copies of that report have been downloaded. That report isn't a top-ranking, highly complex document. Back in the early 2000s, when we launched a pre-psychotactics site, I wrote an article about headlines, which turned out to be very popular. And by this point, you're probably thinking, it's a report, there's nothing new about a report. And you'd be right if you thought that way, because the report itself doesn't do much. However, if you were to take a report that gets a client from point A to point B as quickly as possible, then that report becomes pretty magical. Which is what the headline report does. In under 10 minutes and in about as many pages, it takes you from not being very confident with headlines to getting a pretty good understanding of the working and implementation of the headline. Now that's not all. If you go through the Psychotactics website, there are many tiny reports of this nature. They're all small value giveaways, but they do one thing and they do it really well. They get you from A to B in a big hurry. The hurry part is important because people are swamped with information. But let's say that you are able to create change quickly. Then your clients are more likely to take the next step and to implement what you've shown them. Now, once they implement something, they're hooked. I remember a client who came to our workshop many years ago. He spent about $3,000 for his wife and for himself, purely based on the strength of the report, that headline report. But it's not just the reports that matter. Videos or audio can do something similar. Last week, for instance, I listened to a podcast about a book by Tim Harford. To date, I've read one of his books and I'm in the process of going through the other. The podcast isn't high value, is it? It's free, but the same concept of the podcast can be used on your site. The short video, the short audio, the tiny report, even a string of slides that explain a concept. Your starting point should usually be an appetizer, not a full meal. And most people, they make this mistake. They put just one appetizer, one report on the front page or wherever they want to capture the subscriber. At Psychotactics, we have appetizers all around the place. It might be an excerpt of a book or some reports that were extremely useful. In fact, our goal is to have a report that's suited to every type of article. It's a pretty extensive exercise, but think about it. If you're reading an article on resistance, would you prefer a report on headlines or resistance? The same concept would apply to any page of your website. If the article is about search engine optimization, your report should be ideally about search engine optimization, or at least headlines that help search engine optimization. If, on the other hand, the subscriber ends up on a place where you're talking about article writing, then maybe something about subheads or connectors or disconnectors, that would be more suitable. When we think about this is a lot of work. I mean, think of how many hundreds of articles exist on Psychotactics, for instance. But what we have to do is we have to go about this systematically. We have to look at the categories and where we can put reports under those categories. No one is saying that you need to have this article, this specific article, this niche article, and then put a report specially for that niche article. But in the general category, it works. And as you'd expect, all of this cannot be done tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, and it's systematic. You just go about it bit by bit. The second point that needs to be covered is that the low-value giveaways don't need to be restricted to just the front page. There can be all sorts of little audios, videos, or any information that is of value to the client. And they cut through that hierarchy. We all believe that clients need to read our book or attend a workshop. No, they don't. They just need a tiny bit of stuff that they can consume. So why is consumption so very important? When a client can finish and implement something, they usually come back for more, which is why it then pays to have not just free, but also low-value products. When you look at Psychotactics, you'll notice that we sell the brain audit for $9.99. There are also other products that have a lower value and they are priced at $29 or $39. They're not exactly cheap, but when compared with some of the products which are around $3,000, they do come across as lower value. So if you were to go to the Psychotactics website and look at the nav bar, there is products, and then under that there is a subsection called products under $50. So why is this important? These are not just free giveaways, but they're low value products, and what clients do is they want to test the waters without taking too much of a risk. When they find value, and by value I mean they can implement everything smoothly, they can implement everything elegantly. That's important, that they can implement it, not just say how wonderful the book is and how beautiful the cartoons are. No, they can implement it elegantly. Then they come back for more. Nonetheless, free or low value products are not the only way to go, which is why you need to have something of high value to give away. Giveaway? Yes, giveaway. Let's look at how high value products work as well. So the little roosters, they work, the subordinate roosters work, but does the top rooster work as well? Do the high value products work? Let's find out. Did you know the modern seatbelt was invented by an aviation engineer? He was an engineer who worked on ejector seats. In 1959, it's not like cars didn't have seatbelts. They did, but the seatbelts were two-point waist restraints, which in car crashes harmed rather than helped the driver and the passengers. Which is when Volvo engineer Niels Bohlin stepped up to the plate and invented the three-point seatbelt, the kind that we have today. It was such a remarkable safety feature that Volvo would have made a pile of money on patents alone. Instead, Volvo gave it away. We often believe that we should sell high-value products. However, you may find, as we did, that giving away products, high-value products, can be an incredibly powerful way to build trust and to get repeat clients. On the Psychotactics website is a product called the Brain Alchemy Masterclass, which is priced at around $2,300 US. The product shows you the core of how to start and to build your business, and it's easy enough to get to the sales page and to then decide, I want this product, I want to buy this product. Yet, from time to time, we give away the product to the entire list. Another product is the Website Masterclass. This product digs deep into not just websites, but the psychology of what creates religions to work. In doing so, it takes you on this magic carpet through major world religions, through Harley Davidson, through football, and other such religions. You realize why some marketers never have to put crazy countdown clocks. They never have to dump pop-ups on their website. That without any fuss or without any hoopla, you can create a business where clients buy because they trust in you. They trust your website. They trust what you're saying. And that's what the Website Masterclass is all about. And yet, a few years ago, we gave it away to those who were members of 5000 BC. And no, there was no catch involved. Giving away a big product seems to be a completely silly exercise. Why give away something when you can sell it? What we've found is that by giving away a chunk of what we have has been quite beneficial for our business. At Psychotactics, we have over 20 products, and when we give away these chunks, we found that it builds an enormous amount of goodwill, which, believe it or not, turns out greater sales. And this brings us to a very important point. This podcast is clearly suggesting that you should give away stuff as a strategy. But the goal is not just to give away stuff so that you get greater profit. Our goal was to give back since we'd already received so much. And this goal wasn't or isn't new. It started way back in 2004, when the company was just over a year old. Even so, you'd be happy to know that giving away stuff that you can sell does lead to a substantial growth in profits. Let's take, for example, the giveaway of the Brain Audit Masterclass. In that masterclass, we cover an early version of the Brain Audit. So technically, we've given away a version of the Brain Audit, and yet the moment the clients go through the course, they end up buying the new version of the Brain Audit. And as you know, we also sell the Brain Audit Workshop. They go and buy that as well. Then they join 5000 BC, which is the membership site. And then they do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 online courses. Now consider that a psychotactics course is quite expensive compared with most marketing courses out there. So what is it that causes clients to sign up in a tearing hurry? Why do all the courses fill up in less than an hour? There are many reasons, of course, but one of the big reasons is this giveaway. This large, high-value giveaway. But what if you don't have any big products? No one starts off their business with big products, and yet in time, you'll be likely to do a series of videos or possibly a workshop. And when you do the recording, that becomes your giveaway. But here's the interesting part. Once you have that product in place, you might not be that keen to give it away. We waited at least 6 years before we gave the product away and another 3 before we gave away the next product. So you have to be comfortable with giving away a big chunk of your product, something that could technically earn you income and quite a substantial amount of income. Nonetheless, bear in mind that the marketplace gets noisier and crazier by the minute, and your best bet is to get clients to trust your work earlier than later. The sooner you can give away the big product, the better. It might even be a good idea to create a big product just to give it away. But there is a bit of a problem here, isn't there? If you give away big products, will clients ever want to pay? Well, let me give you an example. I have an email software. I use it to keep my inbox down to 0. It's called Spark, and it's for the Mac. I've used a lot of software to maintain my inbox because, unlike most people, I don't outsource emails. And right now, Spark does an excellent job. There's just one problem. All the email software I've had before has been something that I've paid for. They haven't been expensive, but they've been charging me between $20 to $40 overall. This one, Spark, is a pure giveaway. That makes me really nervous because I know that you can't run a business without charging for it. So I'm hoping that they can take some money off me as soon as possible. It may sound bizarre to you, but not all clients are over-eager to get free stuff from you all the time. There are those that will take endlessly, but there are enough clients who want to pay. If you create great or even good info products, you will always have clients who'll pay money to get whatever you put out. Take the case of all the free information you see around you on a daily basis. You'll see entire videos on YouTube, or you run into books that are priced at a tiny fee, or sometimes even free. A book, by the way, is a big info product. The book or video then directs you to a higher priced info product or to consulting. So there is a system in place, and just because someone pays a lower fee or gets a free doesn't mean that they're not going to buy something. If you can change their lives, if you can take them from A to B, if you can get them to consume, now you've got something that is really powerful. And this brings up the final question, which is the structure of the giveaway. How do you structure the giveaway? And how often should you give something away? Let's find out in the very next section. Have you walked into a store where some of the goods are locked up and not accessible to customers? Many years ago, we used to do workshops in Campbell, California. Primarily, it's because where Renuka's sister used to live. And while we were there in the US, it was always a good idea to do some shopping. On one of these shopping trips, I wanted to buy a rainproof jacket. Not just any old jacket, but something that would keep me super dry on days when it was super wet. The logical choice for this outdoor gear was REI. It's the outdoor gear store. It's like where all the outdoor people go. And guess where my prized rain jacket was to be found? You probably guessed correctly. It was in a glass cage, which happened to be locked. The brand I was looking for was Arc'teryx, and it had a high price tag, and there it was, sitting where it could be seen but not touched. And that's approximately how you need to treat your own big value giveaways. It needs to have a barrier between you and the client. Wherever possible, you need to have that barrier, and there's a very good reason why. So what's the reason? It's easier to sell something expensive than to give it away free of charge. Think about it for a second. Let's say someone drove up to your house, knocked on your door, and gave you the keys to a brand new car. What's your reaction? You should be jumping for joy, but this person who just gave you the car is a stranger. There is absolutely no reason to trust his generosity. Instead of dancing around the room, you're trying to shut the door in his face, aren't you? Without setting up the barrier and without setting up anticipation, even a big giveaway will fall flat on its face. At Psychotactics, we go through a routine as though we're selling a high-value product. Yes, the product is still free, but that doesn't mean that you don't put up the barriers. When we give away a high-value product, we make the client go through a series of actions. The first action is definitely to go on a list. This is a waiting list. You have to wait. And then we spread out the sequence of emails so that the product, whatever product it is, the high-value product, is delivered in stages. This is mostly for the high-value products. And for some giveaways, we've even got members to pitch in to help us with the work, to clean up the stuff. In short, you shouldn't just dole out your high-value product. You should take care and effort to treat it like a high-end product. It means that you've got to put in a bit of work on your part. Lists need to be set up, emails need to be sent out. All of this stuff involves some amount of work, but what you're doing is you're creating a perception that this is really important. This is something worth getting into, getting your teeth into. If you just give away the product without any barriers, without any follow-up, without anything, the client doesn't see it as a great product. They see it as just some throwaway stuff that you gave away. So you have to make sure that the perception is right. You have to make it as though you're selling a $2,500 product, if it is $2,500. You have to make it that way. What you also need to know is that low-value products can have the same intensity of drama. Just because it's not a high-end info product doesn't mean that you can't roll it out to the sound of drums and bugles. So let's say I was writing a small report on how to write perfect headlines every time. Now, there are two options. Option A is that you could get the report right away without any fuss, or option 2 is that you could sign up in anticipation for the information, for that product when it is finally released. Which isn't to say that all small value products have to go through all of this bump and fuss and barriers. Some of them can just be given away, just as you do with a YouTube video or an article. Even so, most of the items on our site have some sort of barriers. To get to a specific type of audio or video or report, you have to sign up. This in turn enables us to send more goodies to the client or to inform them about related products or services. Getting people on your list is very critical, because if you can't get in touch with a client or you can't remind them to buy something, there's a likelihood that your info products may sell, but having those contact details and the permission enables you to keep in touch with them on a fairly constant basis. Finally, it's the strength of your info product that really matters. Many clients will use different email addresses and they will not see the follow-up emails that you send, which is why your info product itself, whether big or small, has to deliver the goods. It's not always sales and more sales that matter. In many, if not most of the cases, generosity matters to an even greater extent. Be generous, be kind, and you will find that clients are very responsive to that. And this brings us to the point where we ask, how often should we give away products? We give away products from time to time, but not all the time. It kind of depends, but maybe you'd give it away once a year if it were a big product, maybe even once every 2 years or 3 years. It's a good strategy for a large product. For smaller products, it's going to depend on the type of the info product. I'll give away a report at the end of a podcast, or maybe something embedded in the middle of an article or right at the end of the article. In short, even when we're giving away something, we're making sure that clients invest in the reading, the watching, or listening before finding that treasure, that giveaway. Giving has a very good feeling to it. So do it with passion, but also with structure, and that's how you're going to get the rewards. Best of all, it will lower risk and it'll increase InfoProduct sales. Suddenly, you're like that carpenter bee. You go up to the flower, the Orpheum flower, and then you change your wing beat and you hit that C note. And when you hit that C note, the stamens respond to you. And when they respond, they shower you with pollen. And that's precisely what happens with InfoProducts as well. Clients respond. They shower their happiness at you creating products that are consumable, not just more information, but stuff that they can implement easily, quickly, and mostly elegantly. And that's how your InfoProducts are going to sell. That's how they're going to buy. And that's how you can play carpenter bee. And that brings us to the end of this podcast. So let's do a quick summary. What did we cover so far? The 3 things that we covered were the small value giveaway, the big value giveaway, and then the structure of the giveaway. With the small value giveaway, we found that it was very important to have small value giveaways, not just on your front page where you give away this report, but also right through your entire website if needed. So maybe if you've got an article on resistance, then it makes sense to give away an article on resistance, but now in a PDF or in an EPUB or in audio or a video. People need to sign up though. They need to register. They need to get through some barrier, even if it is a low value product. And this takes us to the second part, which is the high value product. And for that, they definitely have to register. You have to treat it like it's something important. You have to treat it like it is worth $2,000 or $3,000 or $500 or whatever the price tag that it has. You have to treat it like that. So there has to be this whole system. And of course, this is going to take more work. No one said it was not going to take work. But what it does is build enormous trust. And especially if your product is not this information dump, but a very clear pathway between A and B. Consumption is the most important thing you can think of. This is why clients keep coming back to Psychotactics Workshop, to our online courses, because at the end of it, they have a skill, and that's your goal, to get them to the skill every single time, not just to give them more information. They have enough of that. So that's the big value giveaway. Let it go through a system. And finally, you want to know how to structure the giveaway. Now, all giveaways need to have some sort of barrier in place, some sort of structure in place. And we already covered this, but be aware that if you're not proud of what you're doing and you don't put the barriers in place, you don't make it interesting and you don't make it something that somebody wants, then they don't want it. And don't be too eager to give away big products on a consistent basis. Have that level of scarcity. Have it like once a year or maybe once every 2 years. It depends on what you want to do. You can create that big product by deciding to make that big product, or by taking something which already is a big product and then giving it away. But always structure it and make sure that you have some kind of strategy. Not everything is going to be in place today or tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. All of this stuff we've had to put in bit by bit by bit. I mean, we've been on the early version of Psychotactics, which was called $1 Million, and then Psychotactics, and we've been going for 17 years. We didn't set up everything on day 3 and then sat around for 16 years and 363 days. We worked through it bit by bit, and of course you make mistakes along the way. It doesn't matter. You make those mistakes, you fix the mistakes, and you keep learning from it, and this is why we've moved ahead. Even though we don't go out there and we are not at all the events and we don't do all the promotions and we don't do all the stuff that everybody else is doing. We sit on our little island in New Zealand and we do stuff the way we want to do it. And yet we travel the world, we take 3 months off. We have control over our life and our business, not the other way around. And a lot of it has to do with information products, because when you can sell them, you have a matter of leverage, and then clients come back for more courses, for more everything. And that's what you've got to understand. And that brings us to the end of this podcast. And let me tell you what's happening in Psychotactics land, and I'll be back in a few seconds. It's been a couple of weeks since we finished the first 50 words course, and I have to say I am recovering very nicely. It's quite hard finishing a course, or hard doing a course actually, but now I'm feeling very good. And that's kind of what Renuka and I decided when we were at the cafe, which is where we do most of our work really. Most of our thought process happens on the way to the cafe or back, or when we're going some other place. It never happens at work, at the office at least. So we decided that we're going to have all our courses in the second half of the year, and that enables us to have this decent stretch in the first half of the year, which is pretty good because it gives this whole factor of momentum, which is something I want to talk about in some podcast in the future. The other thing that it enables me to do is to go back to my painting. Ever since I started the course, it has been a little erratic, much too erratic for my liking, and I will go back to drawing every day. And talk about drawing, there is the Da Vinci course, which of course you know about. On the 10th of June, that's when it's going to be announced. You have to be on the list. That is psychotactics.com/DAVINCI. That's Da Vinci. So psychotactics.com/Da Vinci. It starts on the 21st of August, but we pre-sell it on the 10th of June or 11th of June. Be on the list so that you know the exact date. If you're a 5000 BC member, you get priority, of course. And, well, 5000 BC is a great place to be anyway, especially if you're an introvert, especially if you want a space that is safe. It's not like any other forum on the internet. It's very safe, and I make sure that it stays safe, and I'm there a lot, quite often actually. Sometimes I'll miss a post, and I always encourage clients, all the members, to get in touch with me either through email or some other way. Let me know when I missed something, because I want to be committed and I want to be part of that, and I enjoy it, which is why I'm there. So that's pretty much me from Psychotactics land. There's a lot of other stuff coming up, and we'll let you know about that later. We're off to Sweden, to Denmark, to Amsterdam and Singapore in about 4 weeks. So there are lots of podcasts to be recorded, lots of things to be done. So I'll leave you for now, and I'll say bye. Bye-bye. Still listening? Well, I told you that washing dishes is one of my favorite activities, which is pretty odd. Most people don't like washing dishes. I do. The second thing is looking or figuring out traffic lights. Now, when I visited the US, it's very unusual because suddenly you're walking on the pavement or the sidewalk and it disappears and there's nothing. There's just road there. But luckily, here in New Zealand, we have traffic lights because we have sidewalks that go up to the traffic lights. And I look at traffic lights and how they work and which one goes first and which one goes second and how long they go and is there a right or a left. So there you go, another fascination of mine, just figuring out traffic lights. That's me from Psychotactics land saying bye for now. Bye-bye.